So let's get started. Yesterday we were talking about segmentation. So the big idea was when you look at this virtual address space of a process, so this entire virtual address space, there all the addresses, they are not used by the process. So this figure shows you an example here of a process which has 3 segments. So generally your processes, they have few segments, maybe 3, 4, 5, not more than that. Right. So as we have seen in our diagram before, there was code, stack and heap was one segment. You had a segment for data, and then there can be few other segments, but definitely less than 10. So this picture shows you a process which has various segments. So now we are talking in general. So I haven't given any name as such to these segments. So just some segments, and all these segments, they can be of varying size, right? As you can see that this segment 1 here, it is bigger than segment 0 and segment 2. But then it is very much possible that a process, it is not using all the addresses inside a segment. So if you look at segment 0, only this much of the segment is in use, right? So this much is not being used by the process. In segment 1, this much address space is not being used by the process. Here, this one is not being used, right? But it can get used later on when the process, it calls certain functions recursively, or maybe it allocates some memory dynamically. That time, process might need more space, right? So that's why we have this additional space sitting here. This was what we discussed yesterday. Now, again, looking at how we are going to do memory management, how we are going to put this process into memory. So our first approach was contiguous memory allocation. So let's say you use contiguous memory allocation. In this case, what happened? So assume that this process is of 256 bytes. So for this 256 byte process, in contiguous memory allocation, you are going to search a contiguous hole of size 256 in the memory, right? And as soon as you find that contiguous hole, let's say it's starting from the physical address 123, you load this entire process there in the main memory contiguously. So you have this entire process sitting here from your physical memory address 123 to 378. This is contiguous memory allocation. Can you tell me the values of base and limit registers here in this example? So contiguous memory allocation is being done with 2 registers, right? Base and limit. Can you tell me what are their values in this particular case? It's a straightforward question, right? Yes. So Shreya says base address is 123. Right? So 123 is that address in your physical memory where this process is loaded. And what's going to be the limit register's value? So the total allowable range of virtual addresses by this process. So this process has virtual addresses from 0 to 255, right? It should not go beyond that. So in the case, the limit register value will be 255, right? So in case this process generates a virtual address which is out of this range of 255, there will be a trap. Otherwise, whatever virtual address is generated, it will be added to this base register 123 and you will get your physical address. So this was the idea. So let's say I am referring to the virtual address 10 here. What will be the corresponding physical address? 123 plus 10, right? 133. So somewhere here, 133. Okay. Problem with this approach? So definitely it's very visible here. There are all these chunk of memory which is not being used by this process, and it is also allocated here memory in your RAM, right? So this memory, can some other process use it in contiguous memory allocation? No, right? If any other process comes, it will have to find space either up or somewhere down. It has to figure out a hole of its own size. So no other process can just come and occupy all this space which belongs to this particular process. So this memory is getting wasted here. In case some of the segment grows here, what will happen? It's pretty straightforward, right? So let's say segment 1 grows, so it can grow till here. Let's say it grows this much. You don't have to do anything, right? Still you can generate the virtual address in the same way. So in the physical memory again, it has that space, so it can use that. Okay. What happens in the case of paging now? Let's see. So again, this is a process which has, let's say, just two segments. Assume that it is a code segment and just a stack and heap segment. So segment one, segment two. Again, in segment one, you have this entire space which is empty. So please remember, it's the virtual address space. And this is segment one. This entire space is again empty. Now you decide to do a paging on this. So when you do a paging, you are going to divide this process into equal sized pages. So let's say you do paging like this. So this entire part, it is in page 0, it is in page 1, it is in page 2, so on and so forth. And what you will do later on, you will be allocating each of these pages to a frame in the main memory. Right? So let's say each page is 4 kilobyte here. Here you have your main memory, which is also divided into the size of 4 kilobytes. But now any page can go anywhere. So if you look at page 0, so all the addresses in this page, in this virtual address, are being used by the process. So makes sense to allocate a frame to page 0. Now look at page 1. It has some of the part which the process is using and some part which the process is not using. Still makes sense to allocate it some frame because some addresses are being used there. So you go ahead and map it somewhere in the main memory, right? So this will be reflected by your page table. Now, if you look at page 2, so page 2 has all those addresses which are not being used by the process, right? There is no need to map it. Basically, this page 2, it doesn't require any physical memory, right? So you can decide not to give it any physical memory. That will save you space, right? In that sense, space is saved. So in case you have such kind of pages in your virtual address space where no virtual address is being used, you need not allocate any physical memory space to these particular pages. But the problem comes when we talk about page table. Do you think, can we remove the entries for these pages from the page table? So now if you look at page table, your page table will have a frame number corresponding to page 0, page 1, page 2, so on and so forth. Can we just remove the entry corresponding to page 2 from the page table? So the idea is there are a whole lot of such pages. In this example, there are just 2 pages which doesn't have any data for the process. But in reality, as we discussed, the total virtual address space is 2 GB. So there are a whole lot of such pages. So we are saving memory in the sense that to these pages, we are not allocating any frame. But the question is, can we remove the entries corresponding to these pages from the page table? So if you remember till now, we were handling the page table like an array, right? So we cannot just like that remove these entries, otherwise the property of array will be disturbed. So if I wanted to look at the frame number corresponding to page 0, you just had to look the 0th entry of the array, a straightforward access. If you wanted to look at page 4, just go to the 4th entry in the array. So I cannot remove the entries for page 2 from the array. Right? Otherwise, you'll have to shift everything up and down. You'll have to do a lot of calculations. So still, what you can do is, if you want to save some space, you can sort of instead of page table, you can have a page dictionary, right? Key value pairs. So your page numbers will become the key and your frame numbers will become the values. But then access will not be straightforward. I will have to do some kind of hashing. So it's totally your time space trade-off here. Right? If you reduce the space for the page table using dictionary, you will take more time. So the idea is, if you are using an array-based implementation of page table, even though these pages, they do not hold any useful information, we had to have their entries also. So your page table is still large in size. So that was the problem which we are facing with paging in this particular case. Now comes the idea of segmentation. What we did in segmentation is, let's again say that there are these segments, segment 0, 1 and 2. Segment is this much, segment 1 is this much from here to here, and again this is the part of segment 1 which is not in use. This is the part of segment 2 which is not in use. Right? So I have just written some toy virtual addresses here for a reference. So let's say segment 0, it goes from 0 to 9. Right, this much of virtual address space. Segment 1 goes from 10 to 199, but these locations from 100 to 199 it is not using. Segment 2, it goes from 200 to 255, but again the locations from 230 to 255 it is not using. Right. Okay. So how can we now allocate memory for this? So the idea was to consider segment 0, segment 1 and segment 2 as separate processes, right? Rip the process off based on segments and then allocate it some memory. So what can we do is, let's say for segment 0, it requires 10 bytes of space. It's running from 0 byte to 9 byte. So figure out some contiguous space in main memory where you have these 9 bytes free and you can allocate those 9 bytes to your segment 0, right? So let's say it's address 100 in the main memory. So from 100 to till where will it go? From 100 to 109, right? This goes to segment 0. It gets mapped here. Now coming to segment 1, if you look at segment 1, what amount of it is in use? So from your address 10 to 100, how many entries we have? Like close to 90 something, right? So it requires only 90 bytes of memory, not this entire thing. The entire thing is like 190, but it requires only 90. 100 is not in use. So we will allocate it only this much memory. So somewhere else where you have these 90 bytes sitting contiguously. So you figure out somewhere where you have 90 bytes of space in the physical address, you can load your segment 1 there. And the same holds for segment 2, right? Now what will happen whenever a segment wants to grow? Let's say segment 1 now wants some more space. Assume that segment 1 was loaded here, right? If it wants some more space, we can give it here to it in the memory in case this memory is free, which is below segment 1. Next question is, how do we keep track of all these things which is happening? So again, since it's a contiguous memory allocation, how we were doing it previously, we can do it in the same way. So corresponding to each segment, you can have a base register and a limit register. What will be the base register? The physical memory address from where this segment is starting. What will be the limit register? Size of the segment. So if you talk about segment 1, let's say, so assume that its base address is 1, 2, 3, 4 in memory. What will be the limit register for this? So it is close to 90, right? So let's say the limit register for segment 1 is 90, right? Now if you generate an address which sort of surpasses this limit of 90, right? So let us say you are generating a virtual address space which is somewhere here. Let's say something like 150, right? Those are the times when you see a segmentation fault in your programs. That is a segmentation fault. So you are not allowed to cross this boundary for your limit register. Okay, same thing happens with segment 2. So you figure out a contiguous chunk of, it goes from 200 to 230, 30 bytes, allocate it to segment 2. Okay. Now, what can be the problem there? So assume that when you loaded segment 1 from 1, 2, 3, 4 to whatever place is there, and after that the memory was still free. So you might have loaded segment 2 here, right? In that case, if segment 1 wants to grow, we again have the same problem which we were having in contiguous memory allocation, right? Okay. So we still have the same problems. We'll talk about how do we resolve them. But before that, let's look at something else. So we were talking about, let's say a virtual address is generated and the address is 210. So how will you come to know in which segment is it and what is the offset? So for segment 0, it is very easy to see because it always starts from 0 and offset is directly whatever is the virtual address. But starting from segment 1, it becomes difficult to see what exactly is the offset for segment 1. Right. So you should know where exactly segment 1 is starting, where exactly your virtual address is, and you should decrement this value, whatever is here from this value to figure out what is the offset. So we should have a mechanism for that. And the mechanism was to use some separate bits for segments. So in this particular figure, we have 3 segments. So we saw that we can address 3 segments with the help of 2 bits. So let us say the first 2 bits of the virtual address we dedicated to the segment number. Right. Okay, given that this process is 255 bytes in memory, how many bits do we need for the virtual address space? So it is 256 bytes, I'm sorry, from 0 to 255. So how many bits do we need? 8, right? So you see those 8 bits here. So the virtual addresses for this process will go from 8 zeros to 8 ones, right? So this is nothing but 0 in decimal. This is nothing but 255 in decimal. And now we say that we are using the first 2 bits for the segment number, right? So these 2 bits are the segment number. So in this case, in this particular case, it is going from segment 0 to segment 3, right? 0, 1, 2, 3. Segment 0 to segment 3. Although we don't have segment 3 here, so we'll see what is happening. Okay. Given that these first two bits, they tell us the segment number, what can be the size of each segment now? Or what is the size of each segment? So if you look at segment 0, so it will start from here and till where will it go? It will go till this particular address, right? So it will start from, this is the segment number, it starts from here and it goes all the way till here. Right? So it goes from 0 to 63, which means that the size of the first segment, so if we use first two bits for segment number, the size of your first segment is 64 bytes. Same holds for every other segment, right? Each segment, it goes from this address to this address. So next 64 bytes for the next segment, next 64 bytes for the next segment, next 64 bytes for the next segment. Now, what problem do we have? So if you look at segment 0, it requires only 10 bytes, right? And if we use first two bits for segment number, it will end up taking 64 bytes. Well, that is fine. We'll see why it is fine. So talk about segment 1, it requires 190 bytes. In total, it requires 190 bytes. It can generate addresses in this range, but we are giving it 64 bytes. So here we have a problem. So what do you think, what determines the size of a segment? So please note that in this case, now size of each segment is going to be the same. So whenever I generate a virtual address space for a process, size of each segment is going to be the same. The point is, not every segment will be using all of its locations. So when you look at the final picture here, you will have all these segments. So let's say our process has two segments. It will have two segments, both of same size. But the idea is, maybe this segment might be using only this much of its address space. This segment might be using this much of its address space. And you see, it doesn't cause any additional memory overhead. Why? Because all this increase, it is happening in the virtual memory. Whatever you are allocating in the physical memory, that is still the same. So we are allocating physical memory only for those parts of your segments which are being used. So anyhow, if you keep increasing your virtual address space, that is fine. Because we are not going to map the entire virtual address space. Okay. So what should be the segment size in this particular case? So let's say I had this picture and I realized that if we use these last, how many bits we have here, these last 6 bits for segment numbers, it won't suffice. Not for segment number, sorry, for segment size. For addressing a particular segment's address space, if we use 6 bytes, that is not enough because this particular segment, it is of size 190 bytes. So makes sense that we can increase the size of our segment. So what we can do, you can end up making your segments of size 256, right? If you have segment of size 256, so we'll always keep it in the powers of 2, and all of you know why. It eases our calculations. So this segment was of size 10 bytes, this was 190, this was 56. So the power of 2 more than 190 is 256. So we will translate this entire virtual address space and we'll get a virtual address space which looks something like this. So now we have 4 segments here. If you look at this virtual address space, because we are using 2 bits for segment number, so we can have 4 segments. And then for each segment, we have 256 bytes. So for segment 1, from 0 to 255, segment 0, 0 to 255, 256 to 511, so on and so forth. But then all these segments, they won't be using all of its space. As we have seen, segment 0, it was only using 10 bytes. Only this one here. All of this portion is now free. It is not being used by the process. Segment 1 was using something like 90 bytes. So 90 bytes here, they are in use. All the remaining part of segment 1 is empty. Same holds for segment 2. If you look at segment 3, we don't have any segment 3. So this entire space is empty. So our virtual space, it has increased from 256 bytes to 1024 bytes. But it doesn't bother us because we are not going to map this entire virtual address space. So the part which we are going to map, it still remains the same. 10 bytes for this, 90 bytes for this, and some 30 bytes for this. Only that much we are going to map. It just, whatever we have done, it just helps us in address translation. Now we can do the same thing. which we did before. So each segment now is what? 256 bytes, right? 256 bytes, 256 bytes, 256 bytes. And again, we will do a contiguous memory allocation for each of these segments. So corresponding to each of the segments, we should have a base register and a limit register. So if you look at this base register and limit register for each of the segments, you can actually introduce 4 more registers in your CPU because it's just 4, unlike a page table where we had a huge number of pages. Or you can also have a separate segment table, just like the page table, which for each segment will hold this information. So base register for segment 0, limit register for segment 0, base register for segment 1, limit for segment 1, so on and so forth. Right. So what will be this base register entry here? Wherever you will be going to load the segment 0 in the memory, right? The physical memory address, that will be in the base register corresponding to segment 0. What will be the limit register for segment 0? 10, right? So only 10 bytes are in use. So if you try to address any memory which is here after these 10 bytes, you will get a trap, you will get an error. Basically, you should not be accessing that memory. That is not mapped anywhere in the physical memory. So the limit register value for this will be 9. I'm sorry, 10. Right. And similarly, if you look at segment 1, base register value, wherever it is loaded into the memory, limit register value, whatever was in the use. So I think it was 90 bytes. So you can do this for each segment. Segment 3 is not there, so you can probably leave this empty. So there is no base register because it is not mapped. Limit register and 0. So some trivial values. So this is the kind of mapping we can do. Right? And now we have saved a lot of space, which we were not saving earlier. So all this virtual address space, which is not in use, all of this is saved. But what problem do we have? All the segments, they are being loaded contiguously. So segment 0, the entire segment 0 should be at one place in the memory. So same to what was happening with processes. Entire segment 1 should be at one place in the memory. Right? So let's say a new segment comes, its size is again very big. You have the total memory to give to it, but that memory is not contiguous. So still you cannot allocate memory to a particular segment. What is the solution? Why did we implement paging, if you remember? So paging was this idea that you do not need to have a process contiguously in your main memory. You can divide a process in multiple parts and you can scatter it all over the main memory. We can do the same thing with segments here. Why do we want to keep an entire segment at one place in the memory? Let's page the segment, right? Let's report the segments in equal size pages, and then you can have this segment at different places in the memory. Right? Okay. So now, how do we page the segments? So if you look at this segment 0, right, its usable memory addresses, they started from 0 and went up to 9, right? So this is the valid address space of your segment 0. Now we want to page this segment. If we were not paging it, we will keep all these virtual address locations at the same place in the physical memory. And base register would tell us where exactly in the physical memory it is. Now what we can do, so anyhow, if you look at these first 2 bits, they just tell you the segment number. If you look at these remaining bits, they are nothing but the virtual address space of a particular segment, similar to how you were having the virtual address space for a process. Right? So these are the contents of these segments going from 0 to 9, and what we have to do, we have to page this. So we'll be using the same technique which we used for paging. So let's say our page size is 4 bytes. What will happen then? So we need 2 bits for offset and remaining bits for page number, right? So these 2 bits, last 2 bits, they will become the offset and this one will become the page number. So what you have done is this entire segment, so this is 2 here, right? You have lot of addresses here from 0 to 1001. Right? So corresponding to all those addresses, the last 2 bits will tell you the particular offset of that page number, and the first 4 bits in this case will tell you the page number. Now, what difference should I have here? So previously for each segment, we were just having a base register. Base register would tell me where this segment is loaded in the main memory. What should I have now instead of a base register? Base register won't make any sense now because the segment is not contiguously allocated space in your memory. So what should we have instead of a base register? Page table. Right? Corresponding to each segment, we should have a page table. So what page table will tell me? So if I have this segment, let's say I divided it in some 3 pages. So that page table will tell you where is the page 0 of this segment loaded, where is page 1 of this segment loaded, where is page where is page 2 of this segment loaded. So now each segment will have its own page table. And this particular process, it is called paging with segmentation. So this is again extracting like the best of both worlds. So if you look at paging was solving your problem of external fragmentation, but it was giving you internal fragmentation. If you look at segmentation, it is solving the problem of internal fragmentation but giving you external fragmentation. So the idea is to merge both of these techniques. Okay, now how will we do an address translation? So in this particular case, right, it's quite clear now that first 2 bits, they tell us the segment number. Next 4 bits, they tell us the page number corresponding to that particular segment. And the last 2 bits, they tell you the offset. Right? So let's say this is the segment number, this is the page number, this is the offset. Now, whenever a virtual address is given to you, how will you translate it into a physical address? So look at the first 2 bits of the virtual address. That will tell you which segment it is. So let's say the first 2 bits are 10. So it tells you it is segment number 2. Right? So corresponding to segment number 2, instead of base register now, you have a pointer to the page table of segment 2. Now you can go to the page table of this segment number 2, which is nothing again but an array, and in this page table we can obtain the frame number corresponding to a particular page. So let us say our page number was 0101. So corresponding to 0101 at this particular index in the array, it will give you the frame number corresponding to that page where it is loaded in the memory. What you have to do at the end, just add the offset to that. So that is how an address is translated. Okay. Let's try to solve this question here. So let's say now we have 8 segments. So generally you don't have 8 segments. It's just a toy example here. Let's say there is a process which has 8 segments, and let us say we are giving 64 kilobytes to each segment. Each segment is 64 kilobytes, and so on. And then since we are implementing paging with segmentation, we will be having pages in the segment. So let's say one page is 4 kilobytes. And then you have a main memory. Let's say the size of the main memory is 4 GB. Now, can you tell me what will be the size of the virtual address? By size, I mean number of bits in the virtual address. How do we compute that? And how many of these bits will correspond to the segment number? How many of these will correspond to the page number? And how many of these will be the offset? So let's write it down. So this is for the segment, this is for the page, this is for the offset. How many bits do we need for segment? It's I think most easy to tell here. And we have 8 segments, right? So how many bits? 3, right? So we need 3 bits for segments. Next, how many bits do we need for page? 44. Okay, let's see. So how do we compute it? So you have 8 segments of 64 kilobytes each, right? So first let's look at how many bits should be there in the virtual address in total. So what is the size of virtual address? It is 8 into 64 into 2 to the power 10 bytes, right? Which is how much? This is 6, this is 3, right? 2 raised to the power 19 bytes. So we need 19 bits for the entire virtual address. Okay. Out of this 19, we figured out how many we need for segment. It was straightforward. Next, coming to the offset, how many bits we need for the offset? Once we calculate that for pages, we can easily find. Right? So your page size is 4 KB. So 4 into 2 to the power 10 bytes, which is 2 to the power 12. Right? 2 to the power 12 bytes. Once we have the page size, we know that this value here is the offset. Right? So for offset, we need 12. How much is left for the page? 4, right? Okay. So you can also look at it like this. So you have 8 segments of 64 kilobytes each, right? So each segment is 64 kilobytes. So to address this 64 kilobytes, you need 16 bits. Out of those 16 bits, again we computed that 12 are for your offset and the remaining 4 are for your page. Okay. Now, is there any other way we can reduce the size of the page table? So there is one more popular way to reduce the size of the entire page table. So see, the idea was whenever you look at these page tables, so there are a whole lot of pages which are not mapped to any particular frame. And the problem is you have entries for all these pages in your page table. So look at this example. So this is the page table for process P0, page table for P1, P2, P3. And you see a lot of pages which are not mapped anywhere in your physical memory. Right? So generally these page tables, they are very sparse because there are a whole lot of pages which are not mapped anywhere. And now in my page table, I'm giving space to all of these. And when you add it for all the processes, the entire space which you are utilizing for page tables become big. So there is an idea of inverted page table which you can use to reduce this space. Any guess on what an inverted page table can be? So the word inverted tells you something. So what shall we invert here? Come again. Page structure, tree structure. And so what you are talking about, that is a multi-level page table that we'll talk about later. So what can we invert here? So if you look at this is page number, this is corresponding to that page number. You have what frame number in memory. Same thing here, page number, frame number for 4 different processes. Page number, frame number, page number, frame number. So what does inversion seems like? So maybe instead of mapping page number to frame numbers, let's map frame numbers to page numbers. Right? And then when you map frame number to page numbers, right, what will happen? So if you look at frame number 2 of process 0, it corresponds to page number 0, but corresponding to process 2, frame number 3 also corresponds to page number 0. So I cannot directly map it. So the idea is what we do, instead of having a per process page table, you have a big global inverted page table. And what is this big global inverted page table? Corresponding to each frame of the memory now, it will hold what particular virtual address you are referring. So let's say memory address 0, frame 0 of the memory. So you see it is mapped to virtual address 2 of process 0. So you need to have that virtual address, it is 2, but you also need to store which process it is. So 2 of process P0. Similarly, physical memory address 1 Where it is mapped? Nowhere, right? Physical memory address true. Where it is mapped? Corresponding page number and corresponding process number, so on and so forth. How I am reducing space here? So previously, when you were storing these page tables, they were all corresponding to the virtual address spaces, which were like 2 GB for each process. So if you had 100 processes corresponding to 200 GB. Now what you are maintaining here, it corresponds to your physical memory, which is 2 GB. So you'll have lesser number of frames. And definitely there will be a large number of pages and very less number of frames in your system. So now we are maintaining per frame entry. So the size of the page table reduces drastically. Now, what problem can we have here? So look at these two entries. If you look at process 0, right, its page 0 maps to frame number 2. Look at process 1, its page 1 also maps to frame number 2. So they are sharing this memory. Both of them maps to same place in the physical memory. How do I take care of that? So corresponding to this frame number 2 here, we should have two entries, not just one. So maybe just instead of having an entry here, you can make it a linked list. So you can have two entries connected to each other. So this is inverted page table. We will stop here. We have almost finished unit 3. So there are a few topics left which we will cover after Diwali. So now a pre-Diwali surprise quiz. Right. So all easy questions. So if you have heard to all the lectures carefully, you will be able to answer them. And if you have any doubts, you can discuss them with me during the quiz also. Why? Takes a little preparation. It's fine. So I'm quite sure that if you know all how these translations are happening, the questions are pretty straightforward. You can take my help in recalling. So if you have like a slide doubt at some place, you can refer to your notes, right? You can refer to internet, you can refer to your notes. You're free to do everything except then talking with each other. Okay, definitely I can't take a poll because I already know the answer. Okay, let's do it after Diwali, right? So be prepared. So this entire thing which we discussed about memory management, let's have it after Diwali. Okay, what shall we do now? Shall we cover a few more topics then? We can actually put an end to this unit so that we can start with a fresh unit after Diwali. Or if you want a break, then take a break for 15 minutes. Okay, fine. Okay, so anything else if you want to discuss? Mm, does anyone want to share your experience of the course or any feedback?
Almost seems like you know it, but you don't.
Huh?
Almost seems like you understand it, but you don't.
But I don't.
No, but like it's like you understand it, but then you have to read it again.
That is true. That is true. So I read this course like 10 years back when I was in my BTech, but definitely not as rigorously as I'm reading it now. And it's really that cliche holds. So the more I read this subject, more I realize that I don't know it. So and it holds with every subject. Right? So you can never like know it all. And the more you read, like you read one thing, you'll have 10 questions. You answer those 10 questions, you'll have 100 questions. So you'll realize that there always are gaps. If you look at like operating system, it's again a combination of so many courses. So if you want to like understand it in full detail, you should know the details of computer architecture. You should know the details of all the hardware. You should know algorithms, databases, data structures. Then you can understand it all. And little bit knowledge of microprocessors and assembly language also. Do you have classes till Friday? Okay, then give me attendance, right? Write it on a sheet of paper. Okay, so one thing which we haven't discussed yet is this statement, which like many people are confused about, which I think I would have also made is, let's say you have a main memory of 2 GB, then how do you really run a process of 4 GB? We haven't yet discussed that point. Right? So any idea how that might be happening? That's like the motivating question for what is coming up next.
Just like how in cash, we are very frequently accessing instructions. Maybe we have the very frequently access data from the system into the
You are correct. You are correct. So the idea is that we said that most of the times, like the process, it is using 90% of the times it is using 10% of the data, right? So that same 10% of the pages are being used again and again. Then why to even have the remaining pages, right, in the memory? So you keep the remaining pages on the disk. So we'll talk about that. So, there is this actually very nice book by University of Wisconsin, which I have like recently discovered. It is much better than the books by Galvin and Tannenbaum, like according to me. So I have put the link on the same spreadsheet. So when you see below syllabus, you will find it. So you can use those documents for a better understanding. It's very clearly written, very nicely written. Those of you who are online, we are done. So if you want to leave, you can pull off.